Hello guys, in this presentation we all will be seeing about role of an individual in conservation of natural resources and equitable use of resources for sustainable lifestyle. The term conservation came into use in late 19th centuries and referred to the management mainly for economic reasons of such valuable natural resources as timber, fish, topsoil, pasture lands and minerals, and also to the preservation of forest, wildlife, parkland, wilderness and watershed areas. Earth's natural resources include air, minerals, plants, soil, water and wildlife. Conservation is the care and protection of these resources so that they can persist for future generation. It includes meeting diversity of species, genes and ecosystems as well as functions of the environment such as nutrient cycling. Conservation is similar to preservation, but while both relate to the protection of nature, they strive to accomplish this task in different ways. Conservation seeks the sustainability use of nature by humans for activities such as hunting, logging or mining, while preservation means protecting nature from human use. Continued human population growth has led to unsustainable rates of consumption of our natural resources, resulting in a loss of Earth's biodiversity. The main factors driving biodiversity loss include habitat destruction, climate change, invasive species, overexploitation, and pollution.
Hello guys, I am going to speak on the role of an individual in conservation of natural resources. Before that, we have to see here that every individual has to protect his environment. To protect their environment, they will conserve every natural resource. Mainly, they will conserve forest, conservation of forest. To maintain a healthy environment and obtain a sustainable supply of number of forest products, natural forests should be carefully managed and conserved. Conservation of forests should involve the following two aspects. First, prevention of deforestation. We are going to speak on the prevention of deforestation. First point, start planting trees. That's the sum of the domestic campaigns so far. Soon all the neighbors will be carbon copying each other. Secondly, stop printing and go paperless. Whether at home or work, many of us still have that nasty lazy habit of not living to utilize computer files and folders properly. So instead we print. Thirdly, recycle paper and cardboard. It is because 1 ton of paper put to recycle prevents the cutting of 17 trees. These 17 trees then sequester around 250 pounds of carbon dioxide from the air every single year. If only 10% of the entire paper used by the average American were recycled in a year, 25 million would be saved and 367 million pounds of carbon dioxide will be absorbed by the trees in 1 year. Fourthly, when stopping move towards buying recycled products, mainly most recycled items do not use desire from areas that have been cleared of natural and rainforest. Fifthly, in the kitchen, cut down on your meat intake and eat as many vegetarian meals as possible. It is a best practice and healthy one on top of it too. It is problematic and time consuming trying to source meat products that are end up being harvested on land that once brimmed with trees. Secondly, land resources must be conserved. Land resource and conservation. Limiting expansion of urbanized area to prevent drastic landscape changes such as concrete covering all over the city and losing fresh natural resources like air, light, free space around the building, etc. Monitoring industrialization effluents before releasing into streams and atmosphere. Not expanding agriculture into forest areas. Reforestation to prevent soil erosion and soil degradation. Avoiding our irrigation to prevent water and legging and salinization. Giving more priority to preserving natural habitats for forest animals and birds, etc., rather than mining activities which severely degrades the quality of soil and local ecosystem on which living beings are depending.
Hello friends, I'm going to talk about water and mineral resource. First we can see water resource. Water is one of the major important to all living things. Without water, no one can't able to be survive. The demand for fresh water is likely to exceed its supply by the first or second decade of next century. Human use of natural water, particularly of freshwater resource, has increased steadily over the centuries. The shortage of water make many localities barren, devoid of life. Water shortage is a worldwide problem for population as well as agriculture with both major cities and remote areas. Now we can see some following summarize of water resource. Development of an efficient distribution system. Water resources are not distributed evenly. Some localities have plenty of water. A water distribution system is a part of a water supply network with components that carry potable water from a centralized treatment plant or wells to water consumer. Next, reduction of pollution and recycling of water. Pollution spoils huge quantities of our surface water. All the wastewater should be diverted to treatment plant instead of releasing them into our surface water. Next, enhancement of surface storage capacity. By erecting embankment and dams, we can store large amount of water which can be utilizable for longer times. Global declines in water storage are increased troubling with greater hydrological variability due to climate changes. More storage will be to be provided the same level of security of water, food and energy. Improvement of underground storage capacity. An effective method of recharging groundwater that providing good plant cover over the soil surface. Plant obtain most of their water from soil moisture and keep the surrounding cool and humid, thereby preventing excessive loss of water through evaporation. Groundwater is recharged from rainwater and snowmelt or from water that leaks through bottom of some lakes and rivers. Mineral resource. We have attained such an enormous level of consumption of our mineral wealth that good quality deposit of many elements have already disappeared while many other are in process of being depleted. These resources belong to our children and grandchildren as much as they do to us. A mineral is a naturally occurring substance representable by a chemical formula that is usually solid and inorganic and as a crystal structure. Now we can see steps which may taken to make this deposit last longer. Making finished product long lasting. The use and throw away practice of Western society after a product lost its utility is a wasteful practice. The mineral component in a product are also distracted and wasted. Reuse and recycling of metal. As rapid consumption of virgin minerals depletes our resource, why not use mineral product more efficiently or again and again? The good things about metals recycling over and over without alerting its properties. The most common recyclable metal include aluminum and steels. Use of cheaper substitutes. There are a number of finished products in which cheaper material other than metals may be used, while some metals such as aluminum and zinc add somewhat inferior substitutes for other widely used metal like copper and lead. There are no good substitute presently available. More efficient way of recovery of material from minerals. A number of minerals occurs as a complex mixture of a number of elements, and ore is never pure. Mineral recovery is most likely to be important for maintaining agriculture productivity with a return of the mineral to the cropland as fertilizers.
Equitable use of resources for sustainable lifestyle. In last 50 years, the consumption of resource in the society has increased manifold. There is a big gap in the consumer's lifestyle between developed and developing countries. Urbanization has changed the lifestyle of middlemen population in developing countries, creating more stress on the use of natural resources. There is a huge gap between rich and poor. In this age of development, the rich have gone richer and the poor is becoming more poorer. This has led to unstable growth. There is an increasing global concern about the management of natural resources. The solution to this problem is to have more equitable distribution of resources and income. Two major causes of unsustainability are overpopulation in poor countries and overconsumption of resources by rich countries. For equitable use of natural resources, More developed countries or rich people have to lower down their level of consumption to bare minimum so that these resources can be shared by people to satisfy their need.
Natural resources are limited. For example, the existing water sources are being subjected to heavy pollution. Global climatic changes are altering the quality of freshwater sources as a consequence of unknown effects on the hydrological cycle. Sustainable development is currently being discussed as a focal theme in the field of development, planning, and other associated aspects. In the light of self-defeating current mode of development and recurrent natural calamities, people are urged to ponder over the faults, shortcomings, lacuna, discrepancies, and limitations of the ongoing developmental process and production system. It is essential to sustain the natural resources. We should conserve natural resources so that it may yield sustainable benefit to the present generation while maintaining its potential to meet the needs of the future generations. There are three specific objectives to conserve living resources. Number 1, to ensure that any utilization of the ecosystem is sustainable. Number 2, to preserve biodiversity. Number 3, to maintain essential ecological processes. Resource management should be less energy intensive, suitable to local ecology and needs of the people, less cost intensive, and more viable in terms of economy, ecology, and culture. The Sri Lanka term, for example, studied traditional paddy irrigation system as a model for water management. Its reports note that from the 5th century BC through the 12th century AD, Sri Lanka developed a technologically advanced civilization based on an intricate system of rainwater conservation and irrigation. Water users were collectively and individually responsible for maintenance of the irrigation systems, and customary laws known as Sirith were established governing water use and related aspects of life.
First, I would like to thank you all for your patience throughout the presentation. As a conclusion, I am going to highlight some ways to conserve natural resources to lead a sustainable lifestyle. Many people would have this question that why we have to conserve resources. We human beings depend upon natural resources for our development activities. If the resources are not used wisely, it would create an imbalance in the environment, thus put us in opposition to an eco-friendly atmosphere. The need for conservation arises from the significance of natural resources. Natural resources play a vital role in our day-to-day life. Water is a renewable resource. We use it for drinking, producing electricity, irrigation in various industries, and for a number of activities. The scarcity of water would cause loss of vegetation, adverse effect on flora and fauna, erosion of soil, etc. Forest is the most important natural resource which helps in economic development. Forest provides paper, furniture, timber, medicine, gum, etc. Also, it maintains a balance in ecosystem. Moreover, it prevents soil erosion and protects wildlife. Land resources support natural vegetation, wildlife, transport, etc. The land also provides us food, cloth, shelter, and other basic needs. Plants and animals provide a wide range of industrial and biological materials. Also, it assists in the manufacturing of medicine and for various other uses. It takes millions of years for the formation of natural resources. The conservation of natural resources can be done by reducing, reusing, and recycling of non-renewable resources. More trees can be planted to save forest resources. Practicing crop rotation techniques helps in maintaining the fertility of soil. Burning of fossil fuels emits carbon dioxide, which is responsible for the greenhouse effect. Then, the burning of fossil fuel must be controlled. These are some of the measures which we can undertake for the conservation of natural resources. As human beings, we have a social responsibility to fulfill towards nature. Thus, while using natural resources, we shall follow the principle of sustainable development. Natural resources are a present for the creation. They help in satisfying the human needs to their fullest. Furthermore, the rational use of natural resources maintains the Earth's atmosphere. Also, the wise use of natural resources leads to the protection of biodiversity. Humans cannot imagine their life without natural resources. Thus, the conservation of natural resources are essential.
Like music and art, love of nature is a common language that can transcend political or social boundaries.